Felicia, since you're here and we're done with the plastics beef, I know that you saw our show where we talked about Boobgate. And since Ben and I are white men and really, in a sense, have almost no business talking about the plight of women except as allies, because most people don't talk about what happens to women. Did you had you said you had a couple stories about that you wanted to share or talk about? Lay it on.
Yeah, when I was watching your show, I thought of a few things like that just stuck out in my mind that a lot of people don't think about, maybe what it's like to be a woman in a hobby / industry that is almost entirely, at least it used to be, almost entirely made of men. I used to be pretty rare. So one of my first experiences with outright, unabashed sexism was when I started at Live Aquaria. This would have been like 2006. I was on the phones in the call center, and I answered the call. Thank you for calling Live Aquaria. This is Felicia. How can I help you? And the guy lets out an audible sigh. Like I could just see his face through the phone, and he said, and I quote, "Is there a guy there I can talk to?"
Ew.
And I was just kind of shocked for a second, like I didn't know what to say. And it was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. Like I'd never really experienced anything like it before, but I was pretty young. So the guy in the cubicle across from me, his name was Adam. And so I hopped over and I said, "Hey, are you on a call? Can you take this call for me?" So he was like, "Okay, what's up? Like, why?" Because he was the one who was always asking me for help, because I, at that point, was, pretty knowledgeable for what we were doing. So he takes the call and the guy is asking him some like pretty detailed questions, and I can hear him in the other cubicle going like, and I heard him say, and I quote, "Felicia is kind of the expert on that. Let me just ask her real quick. Let me put you on hold." So he puts the guy on hold and asked me the question. And it was
I wouldn't put him on hold.
What it was about. It was like chemistry or something.
Yeah.
So this went on for like 15 minutes and then at that point I had taken another call because my phone rang. So I had to keep trying to answer this guy's questions while I was on another call with someone else. And it was just ridiculous that this guy wouldn't talk to me. Like he wanted to talk to the man, even though I was answering questions. Just hearing my words coming out of the mouth of a man somehow made him feel better about following my advice. And I just thought that was weird. And we all laughed about it and we all talked about it that day, but that was just wild to me.
Wow. I think that's fucked up. And I'd like to talk to that guy if he's listening. Fucking call me, because if you're still doing that shit, you're a jackass.
Well,
he's gonna watch this and he's like, "What the hell? That was me. I'm so sorry, Felicia. I didn't mean it."
Out of the gate. I mean,
that was 2006. So
2006.
maybe
is
he still a reefer?
Maybe he's dead.
Yeah, maybe he licked a wall socket and he died.
Let's hope.
Did you advise him to lick a wall socket?
I'm so angry about stuff like this, and I'm so sorry it happens. And I'm so sorry.
I was amused more than anything, but ultimately it just created more work for me. That's what annoyed me the most is, I had to do twice the thinking. I was doing his phone call and some other phone call at the same time. So ultimately it just, a lot of men don't realize this, but not all of you, but some of you tend to create more work for us. And the ladies watching are probably going, yeah.
Yeah. And the more I listen to women say things like that, the more I'm chagrined about what I'm sure I've done in the past. Because that's just the stupid culture. And that's what bothers me so much.
It's where, since this is public and we're not truly sitting around in a bar or alley, like bullshitting, but it's like, I'm not trying to pander to anyone. It's just weird. Like, I don't know if any point in my life that I don't understand that mindset of let me talk to a guy. I guess I was pretty close to my mother growing up. My mom, raised us. My dad was traveling a lot. So I never, it never occurred to me that like a woman couldn't know stuff. I would just talk to someone, and if they're making sense, I will listen. That's all.
Exactly.
That happened a lot, like at local shops too. It wasn't obvious. Like they didn't go out of their way to say like, oh, I'm not going to listen to a woman, but I had to earn their trust first. I had to, I had to prove that I knew what I was talking about before people would, trust me. Otherwise, they would just zoom past me, even if I wasn't, busy, and they would wait in line for the guy coworker. But I have to say, my male coworkers have always been pretty, like, hey, Felicia, let's ask her because she really knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, Felicia knows her shit.
Have you gotten that thing
sometimes.
though where someone was like, oh, I have a plumbing question though. Is there someone here that knows about plumbing? It's like, well, I'm standing right the fuck in front of you. Ask me
Exactly.
if I know.
They kind of like veil the questions a little bit, like, like, are you sure you know about this because you're a girl? But
Yeah, because girls don't know plumbing.
And they get away with it because they feel like they're asking the question, but they never ask that of the men. I worked in stores since I was, since 84, 83 or something like that. And, but I'm a confident jackass as well. But no one ever said, do you really know what you're doing? Even when I didn't know what I was doing, and then I would like say, oh, we're doing this. And then they'd go away. We'd have to drill their tank. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. How do I do this? And someone would teach me.
I've had people ask me that all the time.
Do you know what you're doing?
Do you know what the fuck you're doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I just read the manual, so this is practice, right?
Do you get any weirdness like that at the shows, like at the trade shows?
Actually, no, but
that's
when
good.
I go to a trade show, like I know everybody. So there's nobody there that's going to be like, side eye me because, I know you guys. I know you all.
Yeah.
That's where I go.
Yeah.
That's what I go for.
Okay, that's good.
What about, are you a member of any like reefing clubs?
Probably all of them.
Probably. I mean, because what I was getting at is because I've heard from other female reefers like that sometimes they don't like to attend those because it's just like a hot dog festival.
Oh yeah. Less so in the freshwater.
Yeah.
There
Really?
are a lot of women in the freshwater clubs, which is really cool and fun. Yeah, like the Bucks County. You guys are fun. I love you guys.
Nice. How does how does the hot dog fest? What happens that makes you go? Because when Ben said that, you went, yeah. What actually happens to make you make that face? Because I think we don't really know. Is it subtle or is it just, man, my tank is so big, my fish is so awesome? Is it that kind of stuff? Or is it, hey, baby?
Just the boys club kind of stuff, I've kind of felt excluded sometimes just for not being, one of the good boys, but a lot of you guys have made me feel definitely included, and I appreciate you. And you know who you are also, in addition to these two boys here on the screen.
I know with the thank you. I know with the women in reefing, I know that from time to time women talk to me about how to be a speaker or how to write articles. And I usually say, talk to Felicia if you want it from a woman's perspective, because I'm not a woman. And then I usually also say something like, it might be easier if you're a man, but it's not easy. I just blared ahead for 2 years before I got my first anything. Tried and no one cared at all until I got a break. And then I was like on it and worked. And I think there is some idea that you're just in, it is easier if you're a man, but it's also not easy. So, and then I have other, I say, talk to you, talk to Kathy, talk to Christine, talk to any women who you know the name of and find out what's going on with them and what they suggest. And I'll do whatever I can to push you forward. At the same time, you got to have something to say. Sometimes I find people, both men and women, go, well, you just get to speak. It's like, well, what do you have to speak about? And I go, nothing. It's like, well, then no one's going to ask you to speak. You have to have something to say. Any other stories from an actual woman? And then we'll talk about seahorses.
One really scary story. So I was working at a fish shop, and there was a fellow that always came in there, and he was, tall, handsome, good looking. He had a really nice car. He always spent a lot of money. And I get the impression that he was the kind of guy who just kind of always got what he wanted. And back then I was cuter, younger, and he was always asking me to go out with him, always asking me to go on a date with him. He's like, I'll buy you diamonds. And I was like, that's okay. I'm all right. Think so. And I was always polite to him. And, he'd always make me bag his fish, even if there were other people available, stuff like that. And one day I was working there alone, and the way our store was built, the fish room was in the very, very back. The saltwater room was in the very back. And there was like a long hallway kind of that led to the front. So I was in the very back by myself, and the boss was up front running the cash register, like really super far away. And so this guy comes in, of course, and I'm by myself, and he's bugging me, like, hey, go on a date with me, go on a date with me. And I was just like, I don't really want to talk about this right now. Like, do you need help? Like, can I get you some coral, some fish, whatever? And all I remember is at one point, he grabbed my wrists with his hands and started to pull me. And there's a door leading to the alley behind the store. And he was pulling me, it seemed like toward that door. And it just happened so fast, I couldn't even say anything. I couldn't even like scream or make noise or anything. I was just, terrified. Like my life was flashing before my eyes. And like really quickly, I thought like, oh my God, is this guy gonna like kill me? And I'm so lucky at that moment, my coworker, Jimmy, I love you, man. This guy, before he worked with us, he was like a refrigerator and appliance delivery guy. So he's huge. Jimmy's this really big guy. And he came walking down the narrow hallway and saw that this guy had his hands on me, and he flipped out on the guy and was like, all right, you need to leave. And he kicked him out. And so we told the boss what happened. And I even had Jimmy there to say, I saw what happened. I saw him put his hands on her. And the boss was like, well, and I said, can we like ban him from the store because he really makes me nervous? And the boss was like, well, he spends a lot of money here, so maybe you can.
God.
So every time this guy came in after that, I would go hide in the laundry room and lock the door, because we had a little like closet with that. So I'd like sit on a 5-gallon bucket and lock the door while he was in the store. And
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's not what made him put alarms on the back door either. We didn't have alarms on the back door at that point. It took getting somebody's tablet stolen. It was like one of those little.
Well, tablets.
Then we put an alarm on the back door.
Tablets are hard to replace.
Yeah. So
it was innocence, Richard.
So fuck. So anybody who's listening who thinks, we should shut up about this kind of stuff. No, I can't, the idea of Felicia hiding from this jackass customer in the back room on a bucket, waiting for him to go. That's just like, makes me very unhappy.
Yeah, but in her, and that's one thing, but her boss not like getting her back, that's gross too.
The whole thing's gross. I'm so sorry.
I don't want to say where it was or anything, but he's a good guy. I still talk to him.
He sounds great. He sounds like a really fucking stand-up piece of shit.
I think it's just the culture. That's how it,
right.
Just
right. And
that's just what people are used to.
And
I don't agree with that.
It is, and I agree with Ben not agreeing. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it in the larger world. And I'm fucking way more tired of it in the aquarium world, and especially in the saltwater world. Just fucking guys, fucking stop it.
Yeah.
Your dick is not a gift. No one likes you. Stop it. We like you because you talk about the animals in our tanks. Stop it.
Yeah, I do wish that I wish I had more of your sort of experience, like you guys. That's what I want to do. I want to talk about fish. I like fish. I like coral, you know, I like aquariums. That's what I want. I don't want to worry about, hey, will you go on a date with me? Or something I experienced when I was pregnant with my first kid is because, you know, the change happened so rapidly. It was really obvious, you know, when I was, you know, younger and cuter and thinner, I'd have guys like, hey, let me carry that for you. Hey, can I carry that for you? Just constantly. And I'd be like, no, I'm fine. I got it. You know, I do this all day long. I pick up heavy buckets. But when I was pregnant, I actually had customers, like grown men that had, you know, looked like they hit the gym. They would ask me to carry their buckets of water or salt to their car. I would be like, hey, I can't do that right now.
Oh,
it was
God.
You're getting it from both ends.
In a bad way.
Yeah.
That is, thank you for coming on with those two stories, especially because they are so opposite. And I think it really points out how pervasive it is in stupidly different ways. You know, you can't win. Either you're attractive and everyone's all over you, or you're pregnant and still fucking attractive and people think are not interested in you.
I became invisible and it was weird to me. Like I was almost like depressed about just, you know, the change in how people treated me when I was pregnant and gained weight.
Ugh.
So
yeah, when I gained weight, I wasn't pregnant because that's impossible at this point. But when I gained weight, no one really gave me any shit about it at all. No one mentioned it. And then when I was losing weight and people were like, are you sick? And I would go, you didn't give a fuck about me when I was fat and dying. And now that I'm losing weight, you're like, are you okay? So what is wrong with us?
I lost a whole bunch of weight in like 2010 and I was literally sick. Like I couldn't eat food. I was on a liquid diet even going to the doctor, they would be like, hey, great job on your weight loss. And I'd be like, but I'm really sick and I can't eat food. We're having like the opposite experience here.
Oh my God.
That's something I complain about sometimes.